Well, good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Thursday, February 11th, 2021 regular meeting of the City of Walnut Creek's Planning Commission. This is a meeting by teleconference only. We'll start by asking the Commission Secretary to call roll.
Thank you, Chair Lezak. Commissioner Pickett.
Here.
Commissioner Strongman.
Here.
Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Ward.
Here.
Commissioner Reiser.
Here.
Vice Chair Kerselik.
Here.
And Chair Lezak.
Here.
We have all 7 members present and may conduct business. Thank you.
Thank you. So as stated earlier, this is a meeting by teleconference only. This meeting will be conducted pursuant to the provisions of the Governor's executive order, which suspends certain requirements of the Ralph M. Brown Act. Teleconference locations are not open to the public, but to provide a live remote public comment, please join the Zoom teleconference meeting. The meeting ID and password are, the meeting ID is 975-9541-3714. And the login password is 310339, which is shown on the agenda for tonight's meeting. With that, when the chair opens the public comment period, please use the raise comment feature, which will alert staff that you have a public comment you'd like to provide, and please wait your turn. And once you're brought into the meeting, please state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to make your remarks. So with that, we'll go ahead and move into the consent calendar for the evening. And I'll turn it over to you, Commission Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do have one item on the consent calendar this evening. It is a approval of several meetings worth of minutes from 2020. And we would need a motion and a second and a roll call vote.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
So I heard Commissioner Reiser, seconded by Commissioner Strongman. I'll take a roll call. Commissioner Reiser?
Yes.
Commissioner Strongman?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Pickett?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Vice Chair Kerselik?
Yes.
And Chair Lezak.
Yes.
The minutes are approved 7-0. Thank you.
Okay, so next on the agenda is the public communications portion of our agenda. This portion of the meeting is reserved for comment on items not on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the Commission cannot act on items raised during public communications, but may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed, request clarification, or refer the items to staff. So at this point, we're going to ask, does any member of the public wish to provide public comment at this time? And if so, please use the raise hand feature if you'd like to provide a public comment. And we'll give you a little bit of time. And we will ask the Commission Secretary to see if there are any members of the public who wish to make a public comment.
Checking with my colleague, it does not appear that anyone has raised their hand, nor does it appear that anyone is interested in making a comment at this time.
Okay, thank you for that. So before we move on to the public hearings section of the evening, would staff have any other public communications that they would like to provide?
Yes, thank you, Chair Lezak. I'd like to invite my new boss, Community Development Director, Mark Wardlaw, to join us. There he is on screen. Mark joined us 2 weeks ago, I believe. And I'll stop there. And Mark, please introduce yourself. Take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. Chair and members of the commission, I'm very pleased to meet you, and I'd like to say hello. I'm very excited about joining the City of Walnut Creek. I'm your new Community Development Director, and I look forward to working with you and supporting your efforts. By brief introduction, I've come most recently from the County of San Diego, where I was serving as the Director of Planning and Development Services. And prior to that, I worked in the town of Mammoth Lakes as Community Development Director. And then prior, Culver City, California, which is a West Los Angeles community, as Deputy Community Development Director. and prior to that, worked in Center City Development Corporation in downtown San Diego and redevelopment. My career focus has been in urban design, architecture, community development, and I think that what attracted me to Walnut Creek is your focus, your community culture, and your interest in preserving community, and also seeing change in your north and west downtown areas. One thing of note is, as I was departing San Diego County, many of my colleagues and friends commented to me that their own experience, some of them who were born and raised in Walnut Creek, applauded my move, saying that the community was really a wonderful place and it was a very well-run city. So your efforts, the efforts of the council and the town team are to be applauded, and I really look forward to working with you. And I'm very impressed with the community development team and the rest of the city team. So thank you for letting me say hello, and I look forward to working with you.
Welcome, Community Development Director, and we're very happy to have you aboard. We all love Walnut Creek, and we're looking forward to working with you to make it even that much better. So with that, thank you for your comment and introduction. And we will now move on to the public hearings section of the agenda. And with that, we will move into public hearing A, which is the 4A, which is the Mercedes-Benz of Walnut Creek Temporary Vehicle Storage Special Use Permit, application Y20-092, address 1910 North Broadway. And we'll turn this over to staff. And Mr. Alan Carrion, please take it away. And you're on mute, Alan.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. My name is Alan Carrion, Staff Planner, Community and Economic Development Department. This item before you is a special use permit application filed by Mercedes-Benz. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And here we go. There we go. The special use permit request is to allow temporary vehicle storage of approximately 100 vehicles for a period of 24 months at 1910 North Broadway. The applicant is Ms. Leah Lanier of Sonic Automotive, representing Mercedes-Benz. In terms of special use permits, the findings for a special use permit is the same as a conditional use permit, plus an additional finding contained in section 2.4.702. First of all, the conditional use permits, finding number 1 is consisting of the general plan, specific plan, and zoning. Number 2 is that the use will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare. Number 3 is any specific findings required by the zoning district. And the special use permit finding is that the commission has to find that the use provides a necessary service to the community. The project site is located at the northeast intersection of Arroyo Way and North Broadway. So you can see here, consists of about 1.56 acres. And for wayfinding, this is some locations, so we're can locate it. But I think more commonly, everybody probably knows the site of the former Walnut Creek field office of the Department of Motor Vehicles. The property, the use was closed last year, and the property subsequently purchased by a developer. Some of the adjoining uses includes the atrium office building, a gas station, Perfect Lots Retail here, where Jiffy Lube used to be, and Pacific Eye Care. Over in this corner is where the Arroyo residential development is located. We can see here an expansive parking lot, about 93 striped stalls with an existing one-story, 6,000 square foot vacant office building now. Some images of the site. This is the North Broadway frontage. This is a public sidewalk. We can see the building on our right and extensive parking area. The parking stalls are separated from the sidewalk basically by this 6 to 8 inch raised curb occurring along the frontages. This site is probably the only 2 wheel stops at the ADA parking stalls on the entrance driveway. And another shot of the frontage. If we look at Arroyo Way, it's much the same, just landscaping at the corner with a flagpole. And this driveway here, which is exit only by signage. The site is designated mixed-use commercial by the general plan and zoned the same mixed-use commercial by the North Downtown specific plan. This is the site plan proposed by the applicant. The red markings here are where vehicles are intended to be parked. A few vehicles around the building itself. This here is a canopy. In general, they would maintain to be parked along the frontages and in the designated stalls. This area here is not striped, and it was formerly the low-speed motorcycle course for testing for an M license, but the applicant has indicated that the vehicles would be parked in an orderly manner. The applicant intends to install security gates. They're swing arm, illustrated here. Swing arm gates at the 3 driveways, and they'd be located such that when vehicles are entering or departing, that they would be still located on site while the gate is secured, or in any case, not blocking the sidewalk during retrieval or delivery of vehicle. In staff's analysis, staff looked at the site compatibility of the proposed use, the neighborhood compatibility of the proposed use, how it could potentially affect adjoining and area uses, and of course, maintaining orderly use of the property and maintain orderly appearance. Some of staff's recommended conditions, which are contained in the draft resolution, include prohibition against business identification signage. This would prevent or discourage the use of this site as a de facto sales lot. Be no vehicle pricing on the vehicles themselves, except for the window sticker that's affixed during manufacture. The applicant has indicated the vehicles will be parked in an orderly manner within the parking stalls and around the building, rather than stacked like just a storage lot. So this, in essence, would look like a parking lot rather than a storage lot where some vehicles are parked like cordwood. Also, conditions related to drop off and pickup to occur on the property itself. Ms. Lanier and Mercedes-Benz have attested that vehicle truck transporters, those rollbacks, would not be picking up or delivering vehicles here. Excuse me. Sometimes perhaps we have encountered that these transport trucks block traffic, indicated that would not occur with this particular use. The site would also be maintained free of weeds, trash, and debris through regular maintenance and pickup. There's a condition in there that no vehicles are to overhang the public sidewalk due to the lack of wheel stops. There's one item that staff did express concern about and would seek the commission's comment on whether that would be a good thing to do. The applicant and Mercedes-Benz indicated staff would be briefed to park vehicles short of the of the curb and sidewalk, such that they would not overhang and block the sidewalk, as illustrated here. In terms of findings, consistency with the general plan, specific plan, and zoning. The general plan seeks to promote vehicle sales, regional sales of vehicles in Walnut Creek. So this would help out Mercedes-Benz in that regard. Wouldn't really have an effect on the specific plan as a temporary use. This property is under ownership of a residential developer now, who's, my understanding, is seeking to prepare plans for mixed-use development entitlement. Staff believes that the project description, attachments 5, and the site plan as attachment 6 illustrate that this would be maintained in an orderly manner and not be detrimental to the adjoining uses or the neighborhood at large. And no specific findings by the zoning district. In terms of this special use permit finding that the use provides a necessary service to the community, Mercedes-Benz up at 1301 Parkside Drive, about a third of a mile north, has a current application under review with the city to remodel and expand its showroom facility. That would help out in relocating some of the vehicles here and maintain inventory. This use would also utilize an uncontrolled vacant property. Currently, the driveways are open and not chained, at least my last visit. So anybody can park there right now, and I understand Walnut Creek PD sometimes stages there. This is also staff believes a compatible location. There's other dealerships in the immediate area, including Ford and Nissan. And it wouldn't be unusual in effect. And this also provides the economic use for the property owner in pursuing entitlements pursuant to the North Downtown Pacific Plan. And with that, staff is recommending the Planning Commission move to approve the special use permit subject to the conditions contained in the draft resolution for a period of 24 months. And concludes my presentation. I'm standing by for questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carrion, for your presentation. With that, we'll turn back to the commissioners, see if any commissioners has any questions of staff following the presentation. Commissioner Reiser.
Thanks, Alan, for the presentation. Just a couple of quick items. One, so there's 3 security gates. There's no fencing and no chain, no pole-to-pole chains or anything that surround the perimeter, but there's those 3 security gates that swing. So that's it. That's the extent of what's
Correct.
That's correct. Yes.
okay. Are there any plans for light? Is there any additional plans for lighting? When I looked at the pictures, I don't remember if I've been on the site or any poles or anything for lighting or and then
Right.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I had posed the question to the applicant, and the applicant indicated that no additional fixtures would be erected or installed, no cameras or anything like that.
Okay, that was my other question. So no additional security plans like cameras or people that patrol it or anything.
Correct.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Other commissioner questions of staff at this point? I saw Commissioner Strongman. Go ahead.
Yes. Assuming we grant this permit today, what happens in 2 years or 24 months and they're not quite ready to build and Mercedes would like to stay there a little bit longer? They have to come back here, or can we just give them an extension now? Or a grace period?
The request is for 24 months. If coming up on expiration, the applicant would be required to request an extension for review by the Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, at this point, do they have to go back to design and review for approval?
No, there wouldn't be any design review involved. The installation of the swing gates is part of the use permit and is temporary in nature, and so staff would work with the applicant in getting those installed and cited properly through a permit.
Good, thank you. Other questions?
Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you. Commissioner Strongman stole my first question, so I'll just settle for the second one. With the wheel stops, if the applicant is simply going to, inform their people, to park short and not lap the sidewalk. And that can sometimes work well, and sometimes it people are told and everyone kind of forgets about it. If it turns out to be an issue, would that have to come back to the commission to put an additional condition on or something of that nature?
That's correct. That's correct, Commissioner Anderson. The Planning Commission maintains continuous jurisdiction over the permit. So if there were issues, a hearing could be scheduled and the Planning Commission could consider further options, including subsequent conditions to install the wheel stops.
Okay.
If I could also add, just to further that, if there are infractions related to the conditions of approval, let's say, the code enforcement officers would be first on the scene, if you will, to respond and remind the applicant of the conditions of approval.
Thank you.
Other commissioner questions of staff? Okay, seeing none, we will turn to the applicant for their presentation.
The applicant doesn't have a presentation per se, but I would invite Ms. Leah Lanier to speak to the commission.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for considering our request. Like Alan said, this is a vacant lot. We would be storing only new Mercedes-Benz vehicles. As Alan also said, we're undergoing a major renovation to the main Mercedes-Benz store starting in the next few weeks, which would be a $6.5 million renovation to that building. And it's very helpful to have a nearby location to store our vehicles safely, securely. We have a good relationship with the property owner. Been working well with him to get this use approved so we can have security at his site and a place to safely store our vehicles.
Okay, thank you. Nice to meet you. And we'll turn back to the commissioners to see if the commissioners have any questions of the applicant at this time. All right, well, seeing none, we'll go ahead at this time and open the public hearing, which means if anyone from the public would like to make comment on this particular agenda item, we would like to have you use the raise hand feature so that staff can identify you. And then you would have up to 3 minutes to make your public comment. So we'll turn to staff. Commission Secretary, are there anyone from the public who'd like to make a comment on this item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There is one member of the public, and I would also like to highlight for the commission that this evening we do have 2 members of the public calling in by phone. And so we may delay slightly to see if any of those callers wish to offer comments. If those who are listening on by phone do wish to make a comment, please indicate by hitting *9 on your telephone, and that will raise the hand feature here on the Zoom meeting, and we'll be able to wave you in and you can make your comment if you desire. That said, I'd like to have my colleague please wave in Stuart Grundle, who I believe is the property owner, and he will have 2 minutes for public comment. Stuart, are you there? So I believe Stuart's audio is still connecting. We will stand by. If the commission could bear with me just one moment, I have a check, just a moment. Okay, I believe we figured this out. Stuart Grundle, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You have 2 minutes.
I'm using my computer screen, but using my phone because I've got a blown speaker on my computer. Anyway, we're Stuart Grendel, Bayrock Multifamily. We're the managing member of the owning entity at 1910 North Broadway. We had several users that were interested in doing a short-term lease here. Mercedes-Benz had the ViaSonic Automotive, their holding company, had the biggest need to use the property. We spent several $1,000s in the fourth quarter of last year boarding up the building and taking down all the DMV signage. As you know, buildings like this can become targets and quickly become blighted. It's our intention here was to get a warm body on the site and get eyes on the street. We were directed by staff to sort of stay away from the perimeter fencing idea, so it wouldn't look like a construction site. The property now is being poached on for daytime parking for local workers and construction workers, not in a big way. We've observed about 10 to 15 cars a day out there, but of course, you all know that can get turn into something worse very quickly, and particularly vandalism. So this is a very desirable use for our ownership in the interim for all the obvious reasons. Obviously, Mercedes-Benz is a excellent corporate citizen in town, so we welcome their participation. And they've been very responsive to staff. And of course, we are always responsive to staff. We talk to Ethan's team quite often. So for any of potential infractions or deviations from the conditions of approval will be responded to ASAP. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, very, very good. Thank you very much for that input. That's all very helpful information. And we will turn back to Commission Secretary to see if there's any other members of the public that have comment at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In consultation with my colleague here, it does not appear that anyone else has raised their hand to offer comment on this item, and I believe that would conclude public comment.
Okay, very good. So before we close the public hearing portion, we'll turn back to the applicant to see if they have any rebuttal on any of the comments that were made by the public tonight.
No, I thought Stuart said it best. We're looking forward to partnering with him.
All right, well, thank you very much for that. And at this point, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And we will turn to the commissioners and see if commissioners have any additional questions, comments, or would like to make a motion on this item. So any commissioners who would like to start?
Chair Lezak, I'll jump in. It seems like a pretty good use for this site temporarily while they're working on their plans. And I agree, it'll make it look like it's being used and hopefully deter vandalism and other things. So I would be happy to make a motion to approve special use permit for the Mercedes-Benz of Walnut Creek vehicle storage application number Y20092.
I'll second. Oops. Sorry, Bob.
I heard a motion from Vice Chair Kerselik and a second by Commissioner Reiser. I'll go ahead and take a roll call. Commissioner Kerselik?
Yes.
Commissioner Reiser?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Pickett? Yes. Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Strongman?
Yes.
And Chair Lezak?
Yes.
The ayes have it 7-0. It carries unanimously.
Okay, congratulations. And we thank you very much for your participation tonight. And we'll go ahead and move to the next item on the agenda, which is item 4B. And that item is the Chase Bank Conditional Use Permit, Design Review Application number Y20-088. And the address is 2819 Ignacio Valley Road. And with We will turn over to a staff presentation to Ms. Gonzalez. Welcome.
Thank you, and good evening, Planning Commissioners. My name is Jessica Gonzalez, Assistant Planner with the City of Walnut Creek, and I'll be presenting the Chase Bank Conditional Use Permit before you tonight. And so getting into the project location, Chase is proposing to establish a bank at an existing vacant tenant space at the Encina Grande Shopping Center. The tenant space is addressed as 2819 Ignacio Valley Road. And the space is one of 3 units within a standalone building located at the west end of the parking or of the shopping center. And the site is zoned Community Commercial District, which does require the review and approval of a conditional use permit to allow banks that have a floor area greater than 1,000 square feet. And so the proposed Chase tenant space has a square footage of 5,400. So the CUP that does trigger the need for the CUP. And so the proposed space for Chase is at the northeast corner of the existing building, which has 2 other tenant spaces that are occupied by a nail salon and barber shop. The existing north elevation is shown at the top of the slide, and then the proposed Chase Bank north elevation is shown at the bottom. No additional floor area is proposed, and as you can see, the exterior storefront will mostly remain unchanged, with the exception of replacing existing doors and then adding a new side door. And so here are the east elevations, again with the existing at the top and then the proposed Chase elevation at the bottom. And so all exterior design changes that I mentioned, including new signage, are subject to design review, which will be reviewed separately as part of the application. And so getting into the use, as many of you already know, Chase Bank is a national financial institution that offers various financial services to personal and business account customers. The Chase Bank at the Encina Grande will be open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. through 6 p.m. and closed on weekends. And the space will consist of teller stations, offices, and a lobby area with an interior 24-hour vestibule location with 2 ATMs. And so regarding security, the City of Walnut Creek Police Department did review the initial submittal and requested additional lighting over the main entryway, exterior security cameras, and that the 24-hour vestibule location be locked after hours and available only through passcode or customer card. And so in response, the applicant did add a light fixture above each main entry door, provided the exterior security camera layout within the plans as shown on the screen, and then did clarify that the vestibule location will be locked after hours and only accessible via bank card. And so after reviewing the resubmittal and changes, the Walnut Creek Police Department did note that the changes adequately addressed their initial concerns and that they did support the application. And so here's an aerial view of the parking lot for the Encina Grande Shopping Center. As you can see, the center is improved with a large striped parking lot that has over 500 parking spaces. Regarding the project, the proposed tenant space was formerly occupied by the Applebee's restaurant, which is classified as a commercial land use. And the new Chase Bank is also classified as a commercial land use. So within the CC zoning district, all commercial land uses have a parking requirement of 1 per 200 square feet for the first 50,000 square feet of the shopping center, and then 1 per 250 thereafter. So since Chase does not propose a physical expansion, there is no additional required parking and based on the new use. And even if parking was required, the center more than meets the required parking ratio and is actually overparked. And so getting into the required CUP findings, no exceptions are requested and the project complies with the zoning and general plan. Also, the hours will be complementary to the existing uses. And additionally, similar financial uses accompanying retail, commercial, and personal services in many shopping centers throughout Walnut Creek, as the uses are very compatible. And so based on the ability to make the required findings, staff does recommend that the Planning Commission move to adopt the draft resolution to approve the conditional use permit under application Y20-088 to establish the new Chase Bank. And that does conclude my presentation. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. We will now turn to the commissioners to see if commissioners have any questions of staff. Commissioner Pickett.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. First of all, what is special about banks that we would require a conditional use permit for them to be in a shopping center? Why are they distinguished from other, stores like what's already in there?
Not in this instance because they're not proposing an exterior ATM, but I do know there is a requirement for additional parking where an exterior ATM is proposed. So potentially some additional review for those types of applications to ensure that parking is met. And then as with this application, I would assume potentially to ensure that any necessary security provisions are met through the review from the police department as well.
So the purpose of a requirement, the conditional use permit requirement, is security because banks would require greater security. Is that the background behind why a conditional use permit is a requirement for a bank and a shopping center?
So I'm not sure what the background is behind the requirement for this specific zoning district. It is required of this project because the unit is over 1,000 square feet. So potentially where the banks are smaller and have less of an impact potentially to security and having additional exterior ATMs, it's not required. But maybe, I'm not sure if the commission secretary has any additional background.
No, I appreciate that context, Jessica. And to answer your question, Commissioner Pickett, I think it's also indicative of the zone in which you're located. So the community commercial zone is typically a zone that you'll find nestled perhaps in residential neighborhoods. I think most clearly of the Palos Verdes Mall, for example, surrounded by multifamily, single family neighborhoods. And in that zone, same zone, we would also require a use permit. I think for the points that Jessica made, and in fact, I believe there is a Chase Bank at that location. I think I processed that application. And so I think to that point, it can also be zone specific. And so this is not a location downtown. This is not a central retail or pedestrian retail location, for example. It is not surrounded by other businesses. It has adjacency and potential land use implications related to both security and perhaps circulation, pardon me. As Jessica mentioned, relative to whether they're drive-throughs, pull-up ATMs, et cetera.
Okay, that's close enough. One other question is, I just want to understand the parking ratios. The way it sounded to me when I read the staff report is that the parking ratios, you said it's something for the first 50,000 feet and then something else. Is the parking requirement based on the total square footage of the shopping center, or is it the sum of the individual uses within the shopping center?
Not for this zoning district. So for the community commercial district, the parking ratios are based on the land use classification as commercial. So for all commercial uses, the parking ratio is set at the 1 per 200 for the first 50,000 and then 1 per 250 for areas thereafter. So it's not use specific. Anything that falls under the commercial land use classification umbrella all has the same parking requirement. That's why the restaurant use has the same parking requirement as the new commercial Chase Bank.
Yeah, so once it gets past, any shopping center
Yeah.
is greater than 50,000 square feet, once it's past any other, even if 10 small little stores come in, that doesn't impact the parking requirement for the entire shopping center.
If they're all under the commercial land use umbrella, it shouldn't.
Yeah, so if you have a whole bunch of small stores, that doesn't impact the parking requirement for the center. Okay, but I understand that. Thank you. That was my only questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Pickett. Commissioner Strongman.
Yes, why is this particular branch not going to be open on Saturday when all surrounding Chase branches will be open on Saturday?
I actually don't have the answer to that question. I would definitely direct that to the applicant who should be available.
Okay, any other commissioner questions of staff? Great, seeing none, we'll go ahead and turn to the applicant, see if the applicant has a presentation, and if not, has any comments that they would like to make to the commission.
Yeah, hi, it's Patrick O'Neill, and just on behalf of Chase Bank, I wanted to say thanks to Jessica for putting the project stuff together tonight, and for everybody for hearing it on the commission side. So no formal presentation, just wanted to just share that and be available for questions. We have a number of people from Chase as well as the architecture team on the line. And with that, we can just wait for your questions. Thanks.
Any commissioners have questions of the applicant? I know Commissioner Strongman had a question, and Patrick, maybe your team answer that one first before we look to others. Question about being open on Saturdays.
Yeah, and I think it was limited to Monday through Friday because it wasn't certain that Saturday was going to be they were going to operate on Saturday, but it sounds like from what I'm hearing from Chase this evening that it is an option and likely.
Then in that case, would we need to amend the application? Because the proposed draft is that Monday through Friday only.
I don't think that it would require amending the application if you wish to consider that as part of your deliberation as a commission, and then we could modify the resolution accordingly to reflect the direction of the commission.
Okay, any other questions of the applicant? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and ask the applicant to be patient. We're going to go ahead and open the public hearing at this point and see if anyone from the public has any questions or comments that they would like to make. You would have, please use your raise hand feature. If you're on the telephone, use *9. And at the where staff indicates that you're allowed in, you would have 2 minutes to make your public comment. And with that, and speaking very slowly, I will turn this over to the commission secretary to see if he has anyone interested in making a public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I typically speak too quickly, so I too will try to slow my speech and to see if anyone raises a hand. It does not appear that anyone has indicated an interest in making a comment. Nor did we receive any written comments on this item this evening, and so I believe there are no public comments to offer for this item tonight.
Okay, so with that, we'll turn back to the applicant to see if they've got any closing comments that they'd like to make or rebuttal to all those comments.
No, and I'll just say thank you, but if you do need any other revisions or anything on the hours or that day for Saturday, just let us know. Thanks.
Okay, so thank you. With that, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, and we'll turn back to the commissioners for any questions of staff at the applicant, whether you have any comments, or of course, if anyone would like to jump in and make a motion, please let me know. So first, Commissioner Pickett.
Yeah, just a comment before we get into motions. I'm just wondering, I think it would be appropriate to allow the bank to have Saturday hours if they chose to, and I don't see any reason why we should restrict that. So Ethan or Brian can correct me, but it looks to me like all we'd need to do is change in the findings. I think finding number 2, I kind of looked through the resolution. That's the only place I saw the reference to the hours, but if that would be I think that's easy to do, is just change the, say, Monday through Saturday and give the hours, and that doesn't require them to be open then, but allows them to do that without having to talk to us again. That'd be probably something they'd appreciate.
Sure, commissioners, if I could suggest in that section 2 under that finding, assuming the commission doesn't have any public health, safety, or welfare concerns, that sentence could be changed to read, Chase Bank will be open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. through 6 p.m. with optional weekend hours.
That's something like that's fine. Would be fine with me. And I would make a motion to that effect, to approve the use permit application with the amendment we just discussed.
If you don't mind, Commissioner Pickett, before we move forward with that motion, I'd like to double back to the applicant just to confirm that they would accept that additional language to the resolution. In this case, it's not really a condition, but I believe we're looking to add that to our findings. Is that acceptable?
Oh, sure.
Patrick, what do you think?
Yes.
Okay, with that, thank you both, and we'll turn back to the commissioners, see if anyone else has any other comments or would like to second the motion for Commissioner Pickett.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Pickett,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Reiser,
Yes.
Commissioner Strongman,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kurselik,
Yes.
and Chair Lezak.
Yes.
The ayes have it, 7-0. The motion's approved.
Okay, congratulations. Thank you for playing our game tonight. We'll now move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the commission considerations section. We'll check in with our commission secretary. Are there any commission considerations for this evening?
There are none on the agenda this evening. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll move right along to the commission member and staff reports or announcements section. I'll ask any of the commissioners whether they have an announcement or the commission secretary if there's any staff reports.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think Commissioner Anderson, sorry.
Go ahead, Commissioner Anderson, sorry.
I just wanted to, I don't know if I'm the only one eligible for a vaccine at this point, but I got mine last week, and I'm curious to know if there are plans when some of us are fully vaccinated to actually meet each other in a planning commission meeting.
Well, I can tell you that the city itself is looking into we have a work transition plan team that is dedicated to that task of determining when and how the city would proceed with reopening, and that would include all functions, whether it's services at the development services counter, or planning commission meetings or council meetings. I can tell you that no definitive decision has been made. It is under advisement. We certainly are watching what the county's tiers are, or I guess it's color coding at this point. And pardon me, I was limiting myself apparently, and my timer went off. Pardon me. That's my cue to wrap up. The point being, there's no indication as of yet as a specific date, but I would echo Commissioner Anderson's observation that those who are eligible, we hope, do take advantage of vaccination opportunity. And I certainly look forward to mine, though I'm not quite sure when that will be. But that said, we will keep the commissions and the council, of course, apprised of when decisions are made relative to in-person hearings. But I have a feeling they may be a little farther off than a more immediate date.
Okay, thanks for that response. Vice Chair Krasalik.
Thank you, Chair Lezak. I just wanted to mention to the other commissioners that you've done an excellent job representing us at the mayors and chairs meeting this year, and you've set a pretty high bar for commission chair reports to be given in the future. So thanks for all that hard work.
Yeah, much appreciated. And knowing that you've done this before, I'm sure that you'll jump over that bar. So, and with that, any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Pickett.
Yeah, I just wanted to share something, some interesting information. All of you may know that I serve as the Walnut Creek Planning Commission liaison with the Trans PAC, which is Martinez, Pleasant Hill, Walnut Creek, Clayton, Concord, and the county transportation, kind of a subcommittee of Contra Costa Transportation Authority. Anyhow, we had our meeting this morning, and one of the results of COVID is the construction work on Highway 4 and 680 is completed over $1 million under budget and a year ahead of schedule. So it's not all bad news, but it was interesting, all of the things that they were able to accomplish because there's no traffic on the freeways during commute hours. They're able to work more hours. So just an interesting sidelight from a 2-hour, very interesting meeting this morning.
Well, thank you. That's actually very good news, and one of the few bright spots in this whole time that we've been through. And other commissioner comments now? And we'll turn back to you, Commission Secretary, to see, I think you maybe had some other announcement potentially about schedule for our next meeting. And you're on mute and we can't hear you.
I clicked the wrong button. I'm a novice. Anyway, a couple of quick announcements relative to upcoming meetings. So we have a staff meeting every week where we look ahead to schedules, and we did have one item on the February 25th meeting agenda for the Planning Commission. That meeting was actually, or that item was actually bumped such that it will be bumped into March, such that we don't have any business to conduct on the 25th. And since we won't be able to meet any Brown Act requirements to put a new item on the agenda for that meeting in a timely fashion, I've gone ahead and canceled that meeting for February 25th. So our next meeting regularly scheduled will be one month from this evening, March 11th. That's our next regularly scheduled meeting. And I would just highlight that among the other items that may come before you, there will be an item relative to the election of a chair and vice chair. So for those of you interested in those pursuits, just know that 1 month from tonight, we will have at the top of the meeting a transition of power from chair to the next chair, and then the election of a vice chair. And this will be the first time, and hopefully only time ever, that we do this virtually. And that concludes my reports.
So now I've lost my opportunity to incite any kind of movement against the City Hall because you've canceled next meeting.
Thankfully.
So, appreciate all of that, and thank you all for attending tonight's meeting. We'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 7:55 p.m.
Okay, wonderful. Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
See you all in March.